Aloha, welcome back to Aina Bear Farm on the big island of Hawaii. This is the time of year where we do another one of our epic full tours of the food forest to mark the anniversary. This is the 4th year. So this food forest was started 4 years ago. And we're standing at the entrance here. I will show you in a moment before we leave this area what this looked like when we first started. But also just want to mention that this will be a long tour. I want to kind of go in depth on a few things. I decided not to break it up into 2 parts. So hang tight. You can of course pause it and watch the rest later if it's a little long. But yeah, there's just a lot going on that I wanted to be able to share. So let's take a look real quick at a photo of what this looked like when we first started here. Okay, so as you can see, this was just pasture, and now we've transformed it. I mean, just right in this little area, we've got the perennial peanut ground cover, we've got the turmeric root layer, we've got herbaceous tea leaf, herbaceous bananas, we've got some Gliricidia shade here, there's tea, there's kabocha squash, there's comfrey, this is longan, feijoa, this is satsuma tangerine, more turmeric, a whole bunch of coleus. Over to this side, you got like a little cacao hiding back there. Katuk, more Gliricidia, some mamaki. So, just packing in tons of stuff here. Kind of looking back, there we can see a little pineapple. And, there's just abundance everywhere coming in. This is loaded with a crop of green fruits that will start to ripen up. There's one orange one up there. We've got kabocha squash, little pumpkins on the ground here. There's a little nitrogen fixing. We call these halikoa. Also lucana, river tamarind. There's a jaboti kaba. Not yet fruited, but put on some nice size, and I anticipate seeing some fruit within the next couple years. Huge ice cream bean that was grown from seed, and that is really, I think, only 2 years old. Amazing what those will do when they get a spot that they like. Scan back this way. We've got the belly tree spinach. Constantly cutting that back and letting it come back again. Pigeon pea, there's turmeric all over the place now. I also mix in native plants like this nio. As we keep going down the main path, this is the blackberry jam fruit. Like a shrubby little tree. Starting to branch out a little bit. Got a native hibiscus here. Really nice red flower. Black cane sugar. This is a kahaluu avocado. Big height on that. Probably at its peak, getting close to 20 feet already. Nice sized trunk. And It's flowered a couple times, just hasn't hung on to any fruit quite yet. That is Acacia confusa. It's an acacia tree that looks a bit like our native koa or koia. And although it's not either of those treasure trees, it is a nice nitrogen fixer. Here we've got a lilikoi passion flower vine that we're trying to get to head up that way. You can see the tithonia everywhere. Good size rack of namwa bananas. Those are really happy patch of namwa. Sort of like a half banana circle where we pile up food scraps and chop and drop material in there. Our poor Rollinias get really beat up by the wind. We're still trying to build our windscreen, windbreak all over the place. Really slow that down. This guy's been flowering for years and still hasn't put on any fruit. Go, buddy. Hiding back there. Creating lots of habitat here. So this is another spot where we tarped the guinea grass, and we have just put in some perennial peanut. So you can see little bits of green popping up there. So soon that'll be another area that is carpeted with perennial peanut. If you've watched some of our videos, you'll see that that's kind of a goal of ours, is to just spread that as the main ground cover, get rid of guinea grass, which is hard to maintain. Here you've got a big black sapote tree. It's the second year of flowering. Tons of flowers. I have yet to see any fruit that it wants to hang on to. So like right here, there's a flower, but then they're just falling off at this point. So we'll see. There's still a ton of flowers on here. Maybe we'll get something, maybe we won't. But I'd like to be able to try that for the first time. A lot of our trees are kind of in that state at this point, including this is a jackfruit, where again we've had lots of flowers. Look like they might hang on, but nothing that has made fruit yet. It smells really good though. It smells like jackfruit. This is beautiful. Pohinahina is a native plant. Very nice purple flower. It's almost like an orchid. And the leaves smell really interesting, like when you rub the leaves, like an herb. Acerola cherry, putting on a little bit of size, but no signs of fruit yet. And this is our middle clearing section. We use this for mulch, but in the summer when it's hot and dry, we just keep it cut and return all that back to the soil here to try to kind of refurbish it so that we can continue to take mulch the rest of the year. This is an ulu breadfruit tree. This is the Mahafala variety. It has gotten really nice and full. You can see a couple of air layering things set on there with the aluminum foil. This one has not fruited yet. It did produce minimal flowers last year, so we're hoping it will start to flower soon and fruit. We do have another ulu I can show you that is fruiting. We've got quite a few of these little ohia trees. These are one of our favorite natives. So this is kind of crossing over into zone 3. where the planting is not as dense. Nice ice cream bean, marang. But it's a little bit easier to manage being farther away. I want, something that's a little bit easier so I can just kind of come through and cut the grass here with our walk behind tractor. It's another marang. Sour sop, got quite a few of these. I'll show you some with fruit here in a few minutes. And then heading out to zones 4 and 5, I've got this path cut and a few others cut so I can kind of make my way up and down. But right now, mostly just grass. And it's interesting for you guys to see this because this is essentially what the entire food forest looked like when I inherited it. Just a pasture full of grass, almost all the same species. This is guinea grass. It's a really tough, hardy grass. It can withstand drought. It can grow to be, I've seen it 10 feet high. Cattle eat it. Sheep and goats, they'll eat it. Starting to put in little ice cream beans here and there. Get some shade, diversification, pump some nitrogen in. But yeah, the guinea grass, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. It's a great resource. We use it as mulch. It obviously keeps the soil from eroding, keeps the soil shaded, all that. But it's a pain to get rid of. It's covered in these fine little spiky hairs that stick into your skin, hurt and itch. But all in all, I'm glad to have it as a resource. Just kind of want to take you guys out there to show you all the space that we have yet to do much with. And that zone 4 and 5, our plans are to plop some native stuff in here, koa, ohia. We did plant some giant bamboo down there, just let that go. Being zone 4 and 5 is stuff that I don't want to manage much. I kind of just want to let it go. Some kukui, just like a canoe plant that produces a nut. Maybe a few other palms. The lolu is a native palm. And just have some nice diversity out here. Let it forest itself in a lot of ways. I don't want to be doing a ton of maintenance. But we got to get some of these nitrogen fixers out there to kind of get the ground going, get the shade going. As we're heading back here, this is zone 3. This is a Casteri mango, one that can handle a lot more moisture. This is a strange spot. Where we are is a monsoon climate. Some little Chico Sapadilla seed, slow growing, doing okay. Big ice cream bean up there. Some more of these Acacia confusa. White sapote. This tree has been ransacked by scale, as has several of our trees here. And you'll see what happens is the scale get on the newer leaves and suck the juice out. And then as they excrete, that liquid sits on the leaves, and then we get this nasty sooty mold fungus. Just coats the leaves and really depresses the vitality of the whole tree. So now we kind of have this like sickly looking tree. I've tried spraying it with a number of different things. Just doesn't seem to do much. And it's frustrating because we have scale on a number of different trees, and they're just a pain to try to deal with, especially on the bigger trees where you can't just like rub them off on a few leaves. And we also have Blue, our farm dog, who will show you the secondary use of this open field is for playing fetch. Luckiest dog in the world. Alright, this is heading back into zone 2. This is a Raposa mango, one of the first fruit trees we planted out here. The tree itself is huge, but no flowers or fruit yet. I do see some new growth up at the top there. And this one we actually want partial duty, we wanted to make some shade. So we're not doing a lot of pruning on that one. Here we've got lychee. I'm pretty happy. It's like a variegated ohia. And then here you can see the tarping, where we want to come and wipe out patches of the skinny grass. So we leave this down for a couple months. We've made more videos on that if you want to check it out. But after a couple months, we pull it up, and then the ground is much easier to deal with. So this is where the tarps were before. We've killed off all that guinea grass, and this is the perennial peanut that we come in, put in, which you can see is now starting to take off. And then we move the tarp and let the perennial peanut continue to run. So here you can see, since we've just mowed fresh, well, not fresh, but green patches of perennial peanut that have fully taken in. This is our Inviracaju, nice rare Annona species that I got from Joe Hewitt. The tree itself is doing really well. Just continues to put on growth, look healthy. So we're looking forward to the day where we get some fruit off of that. Here we've got a soursop. Now again, grown from seed. It's probably a 3-year-old tree at this point. It's huge. Pushing 20 feet tall. We've been regularly getting delicious fruit off of this. Here's one down here that, color-wise, it looks like it's going to be ready really soon. It's not soft yet, so we'll keep an eye on that. And it's great because, I mean, it just keeps flowering. You know, you've got fruits like in all these stages. Like, there's a little one there. I mean, at this point, it is seeming like we're just going to have soursop year-round, which is amazing. I love soursop. And we've got a little row of yellow pineapples here. One that looks about ready there. So we're getting into pineapple season. Excited about that. This is a longan that we grew from seed. We've also got some grafted ones. We're just kind of checking that out. See if we get anything good from the seed grown. You can see this nice carpet of perennial peanut. Oh, this is Hoava. This is a really pretty native tree. Just really digging this spot with the perennial peanut around it. And here's one of our older mangosteens. This nice little guild with a Clearacidia hanging over it. Really happy down here in the shade. But getting tall, almost as tall as I am. So in the next few years, you know, might like to open that up a little bit and let it kind of start finding its way up to the sun. This is a 344 MacNut, which we've nursed back to health. It got hit kind of hard with some boring beetles that really weakened the tree, but we didn't treat the beetles, but just kind of kept feeding the tree, taking care of it. Now it's looking great. Another patch of perennial peanut. All through this zone 2, we're trying to make that just the regular ground cover. Got a kit mango up there at the top, more tarps. A little peach palm over here. Another longan from seed. And then this side, you get this very vertical rambutan. Now just starting to branch out at the top. Here's a monkey pod tree. That's enormous. This was a seedling, so it didn't grow from seed, but I mean, it was like a little twig. Probably 3 years old. 3 years it's been in the ground anyways. Now it's providing just an awesome amount of shade. We can put things like coffee in the understory. So coffee, coffee, coffee. There's cacao back there. Katuk right here. All kinds of stuff that likes it. A little bit shadier. So here we're winding back down around where we first came in. We can continue to head down the hill here. Big ice cream bean, the oldest one. They planted as a seedling, but same thing, little twig. Probably 25 feet tall now. Made some huge, like yard-long ice cream bean pods this year. It's kind of tasty. I've never actually been a big fan of that, but they were pretty good. Down here we got shampoo ginger. Looking forward to the first flowers on that. Some native sword fern. This is the BQ grafted longan, which put on flowers this year, and I thought it was going to fruit, and it kind of faked me out. Let's see if we can focus yet. I don't know, maybe. Maybe we'll hang on to one or two, but I'm not holding my breath because I had this other patch that was loaded and it dropped all of them, so we'll see. But you know, as I was saying, this climate here is super tricky. This monsoon, I mean, we had 50 inches of rain in February, and since then we've had about 4 inches of rain, and it's really hard on trees. I mean, of course we supplement water this time of year, quite a lot of it. So the tree itself is happy. It's put on a ton of growth. But when it comes to things like fruit, I just think that going from that extreme wet to extreme dry kind of freaks them out. And they'll end up dropping their fruit. Here's a cherimoya. It's looking pretty decent. We've had some issues with some of our cherimoya trees, but this one has been pretty strong all along. This is one of those Lolu native palms I was talking about. They're really nice. This one's getting some nice size on it. Kaimito, purple kaimito, the star apple. It's really nice golden underside to its leaves. This one actually took a lot of damage in the drought last summer, and I cut it back and just kind of left it and tried to take care of it, and now it's really come back strong, so I'm trying to make a better effort of just keeping it well watered. Another one of these Verlinia just blasted by the wind. We had about 2 weeks of sustained 30 to 40 mile an hour winds. Like, I'm not exaggerating. And, you know, no tree is really gonna be happy in those conditions. So as I zigzag down, crossing back, pull this favorite area. This is back into zone 3. Lots of other little things out here, things like the little soursop. This is a Tahitian lime. You have more ice cream beans out here. You can kind of see like the newer sections, the ice cream beans, the bananas, they're not nearly as established. This is an heirloom Hawaiian ulu tree, breadfruit. So this is the one that the native Hawaiians brought with them when they came. Kind of very unique leaf shape to it. And got these little kukuis. These, they don't look much right now, but once they get going, they're a very nice hardy addition and provide more shade and wind block. Well, see, it's raining in the ocean. Why can't you rain over here? This happens all the time. See, the weather here is interesting. We get clouds like that, and you think, oh, it's gonna pour all up the mountain, and then we'll get like 5 drops. And the weather can change really quickly here. It can be like full blast sun, and then all the next 5 minutes later, you're in the clouds. Here we have a sunburst jackfruit. Jackfruit tends to be a very vertical tree. This is another one just blasted by the wind. So we're trying. We got this Tithonia here. I just cleared a section down here. And in this zone 3, I've got an idea of putting in, let me swing back this way and kind of explain, rows of, so right now I've got Tithonia blocking the wind right in front of a lot of our fruit trees. So you'll see like Tithonia, 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 Tithonia. What I want to do is additionally put in some diagonal rows of Tithonia that are further away from the trees. Let them really bulk up, because these I like to cut back so the roots and things don't compete much with the trees. But I'll put these rows in and see if we can really slow that wind down and minimize the impact that it's having on the trees. Soursop is one that tends to do a little better in the wind, so I've put it in a couple spots where it takes the brunt of it. In this section, you kind of see this progression too. So like this section was just cleared of grass, and then we come in, and what we do first now is put in these circles where we have stumps of wood, put the grass down, put some branches on top of that to kind of hold everything in place for right now. And we just let that sit until we're ready to plant into it. And then on the diagonals, support species go in here. And so there's an ice cream bean seed in there. And then another fruit tree. This is an ice cream bean that we had started earlier, so it's already kind of going. And so one by one, each section just kind of gets progressively older and more developed. Cross back over this midpoint. This clearing section, I mentioned using this as mulch. It also preserves the view. Obviously, you have a nice view of the ocean, and I like to just come sit out here and watch it rain in the ocean. And I didn't really want to block that with a forest, so I think it'll be really cool. I have a forest on both sides with that opening in the middle, but also, as we talk about in permaculture, lots of edge, edge on both sides, and just this kind of interesting change from forest to clearing to forest again. So I don't know, I just think it makes things a lot more interesting, even though it's kind of a big blank space that could be used for lots of productivity. I find that having it open is also very useful. It's my growing rock collection for the pond that will one day exist right up in here. I want to do an upper pond and a lower pond with the little falls and just pump the water back up with a solar pump. Malabar chestnut down here. Oh, there goes the dog. White sapote. So down here we have not started tarping and putting in perennial peanut, but likely this section will start next year. And we're just kind of working our way down all the way through this zone 2. Right now it's still the guinea grass. This is a cherimoya that I think got hit really bad with the drought. So you can see like the little stump down there, you had to cut it back. But it's coming back. Alright, here's something to get excited about, at least a little bit. Mapulehu mango. It definitely needs a pruning. But this is one we're keeping shorter. But it's got its first fruit coming. Ah! And I just lost the fruit. Well, that came right off. So hopefully it will be edible. I'm not a big fan of green mango. Smells good. Alright, I'm going to leave that there for right now. And I'll let you guys know if it's any good. Got a Areca palm. Got these here and there. Just a nice, easy clumping palm. A little coffee here, another Gliricidia. Some coffee over here. You've got cassava planted all around. This is our Macnut 344 that did not get hit with any problems, and so it's huge and has nuts for the first time. So we're stoked about that, of course. And then this zone, if you haven't seen a lot of our videos previously, we also have a kind of a crop area down here where we keep this unforested. And it's mostly white pineapple right now, so this is next year's white pineapple crop. And then down in some of these weeds, that's this year's crop. Take a closer look in just a second. Namdok Mai mango. Got 8 varieties of mangoes now. Seeing which are going to be the best. There we go. White pineapples. This year's crop. I think we have about 35 in here, and then there are 15 or so in the garden. So enough to eat. Some extra to sell. Here's the Kerry mango. And that has got a little fruit on it this year. I'm not going to touch it. Let's see what it eggs on. Not a huge tree, so I was kind of surprised that it flowered this year, but I'll take it. Excited to try that too. This is a similar guild as what we saw up at the top with Gliricidia, mangosteen. There's another Gliricidia. Back then there's a native fern, native flowering shrub. There's a cacao hidden back there, kukui right here. So you can really see the forest starting to kind of take shape in areas like this, where you have this like continuous canopy all along this acacia, Gliricidia, up to the ice cream beans. It's exciting. This Mame sapote is looking a little roughed up. It does have tiny little fruits on there. Let's see if any of those hang in there, but it'll often look like this right before it shoots out new leaves, and the old leaves kind of shed off. Let's see our Meyer lemon, which is full of fruits, especially for a smaller tree. Alright, hang in there. We're almost to the end. Another jaboticaba. This has been an interesting one because it has not put on much growth at all, but it just flowers constantly. And not a ton, you know, like 5 to 10 flowers at a time. But I'm talking like all year round. So interesting. This is another variety of lychee. Grafted, that's the Groff. Be a few more years before we're thinking about fruit on that one. And all through here, there's just different things, hard to see, but there's some ginger down here. This is Maile. This is a native woody vining plant that we use for making really incredible lei. Peach palm. Gets this fungus on it here, but allegedly, once they get bigger, it outgrows it. This is another soursop from seed with a massive fruit down here that we're keeping an eye on. It's probably a 8 or 9 pound fruit. It might be the biggest one we've had so far. We had another one that was big like that. It's extremely vertical beech sugar apple. It is starting to send out some side branches finally. Suspanius has been everything down in this section. It was taller, bigger, faster because they're at this little natural dip in the landscape. Gets more access to water. The Malabar chestnut. Coffee hiding down there. This is the golden nugget, loquat. So we're passing through that white pineapple zone again. And we've got a new section cleared so we can transfer those pineapple slips and continue to grow more and more pineapple. And here's an ulu that I just wanted to show because we've got flowers and fruits growing on this one. So that it's like a male flower, and then that's of course the fruit. And there's a few more on there. Very excited about that. We haven't gotten to eat any fruits off of those yet. And back here, not too much crazy going on. There's a avocado that's just struggling down here. Nice big ice cream bean tree. And path back to our agroforestry project. If you haven't seen any of those videos, I put an update recently on everything that's going on back there. Check that out. And then we're heading back up towards the main entrance. A couple more things we can show and we will wrap this up because this has definitely been a long one. So here's our star fruit, and this one looking like it is about to have a stellar year. You can see just covered in flowers, and if I get close we can see the little fruits popping out here. So be ready in the fall. Up here we've got Suriname cherry, got a nice koa tree, lily koi vine on the fence there. Got a Australian finger lime that hasn't really fruited much. Some good stuff though. So if you made it all the way to the end, I appreciate you watching. This is year 4. It's been an amazing journey. We've learned a lot. We've been experimenting to see what does well, what we can kind of double down on. We're ready to keep expanding. We've got these agroforestry projects going with ulu and mango, and we'll be continuing to add density to the food forest, spreading those ground covers, trying to do a lot to lower my maintenance and deal with this crazy monsoon climate of extreme dry, extreme wet, back and forth. I don't know, cross your fingers, maybe we'll get a little bit of rain today. But we appreciate you joining us. Come back and check out our future videos for our 5th year. I'm sure it'll just continue to get more amazing. Aloha.